Good morning. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. A gambling and cheating scandal involving the NBA and the Mafia, former and current players, even a head coach under arrest. Here's ABC's Mola Lengi with details on the scam.
The technology allegedly used in the scheme is like something out of Mission Impossible. The FBI says the suspects used special glasses and contact lenses that could read invisible markings on cards. Casino security expert Sal Piasante showed us some of the technology.
I can't tell you what that top card is, but if I pop in contact lenses, or if I'm wearing my poker glasses, when you look at that card through that filter, you'll see what that card is.
The FBI says the suspects also used card shufflers that were rigged.
And as we build on to 3 weeks of a government shutdown, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying his message to air traffic controllers during the government shutdown is come to work, even if you do not get a paycheck. The comment coming as House Republicans held a news conference on Thursday, marking the 23rd day of the government shutdown. Here's House Speaker Mike Johnson.
There is not an existing pot of money that could cover the air traffic controllers' salaries right now. And so that is why we have to get the government reopened. Again, every Republican has voted repeatedly to do that very thing, to pay everyone and make all this madness stop. And the Democrats have now voted 13 times to keep the government closed.
And in Nashville, Jennifer Pittman tells Channel 4 her concerns have not been addressed since 2 weeks ago when a car went airborne and damaged her home on the Smith Springs Road in the Unit area.
I had submitted a request to the Hub Nashville, and they responded and said that guardrails aren't for our property protection, it's to protect the motorist. Within the last few years, it's been just ridiculous around here. Cars pass cars in the turning lane. Speed limit's 40, they're doing well over 40.
2 people in the vehicle were taken to a hospital, and neighboring homes also suffered some property damage before the car went airborne. Metro Police are investigating the incident. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management at beaconcm.com. Got the Dow futures up 52 points pre-market, the NASDAQ up 127 points, and the S&P up 20 points. We got your traffic coming up next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. Well, it is a quiet Friday so far. Got some patches of fog out there on the roads and the low valley spots surrounding downtown Nashville. Other than that, no traffic making your way into downtown. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's 5 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson coming to you from bucolic Watertown today. Dan Mandis has the day off. As you know, if you've been listening, he's been up all night. So he'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, I've got the reins of the show here this morning, and I want to start with a conversation about this gambling scandal. It is interesting on many different levels. First of all, it's interesting because, well, it apparently is quite the scandal. And apparently, it's interesting because it goes after La Cosa Nostra. It is interesting because, once again, everybody seems to think that somehow this is Donald Trump's action, when indeed it's not Donald Trump's action at all. So if you haven't heard the story, there was this remarkable press conference yesterday with Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and a whole host of others who laid out the case against people who were cheating. I mean, this is NBA key players, key officials, coaches, people who were ripping off people who would come to poker games to play poker with NBA stars, for example, and it was rigged. It was completely rigged. And then now there's also evidence that indeed they tried to throw some games. And, to sort of throw off all the gambling that goes on, legal gambling and illegal gambling that goes on. So let's start with this. First of all, here is FBI Assistant Director Christopher Araya talking a little bit about what this case is really all about.
Today, as you've heard, our office conducted a massive nationwide takedown from 2 indictments of 34 defendants for their alleged involvement in 2 separate illegal poker and sports betting schemes where, as you heard, the odds were rigged in their favor. Among these defendants are 13 members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families, to include capos and soldiers from these families. Additionally, as you heard, current and former NBA coaches and players are also implicated, to include Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier. 3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity.
I mean, it's been quite a while since we've had a mafia case, and it's been a very long time, if ever, where there was a case where they went after 4 of the 5 New York mafia families. Kash Patel on that and more.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra, to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
I mean, there were people giving information to the bettors about who was going to play and who was not going to play, injury reports, that kind of stuff. Very, very sensitive information, quite frankly. If you have that information, then you can beat the system. You can have a leg up in your gambling activities. So there's that, and then there's these poker games, which apparently were so sophisticated that they had special X-ray glasses that they put on so they could read the cards. They had a special way of looking at these cards, and they could read the cards and tell exactly what they were, which gave them, of course, an advantage. So it was all rigged. And it was all, apparently, according to the FBI, this was all, and the U.S. Attorney's Office, this was all really just, La Cosa Nostra scamming people and taking money to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith has lost his ever-loving mind. He once again, I mean, it's this Trump derangement syndrome again, run amok. He is now saying that this is all Trump. Trump's coming for you, and somehow Trump is responsible for an investigation that's been going on for years.
We're sitting on here on the sports show doing First Take. We all know what other stuff that I do. Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today. I'm watching a press conference with the director of the FBI. Mm-hmm. Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen people, we've seen accusations before. We've seen athletes get in trouble with the law before. You don't see the director of the FBI having a press conference. It's not coincidental. It's not an accident. It's a statement. And it's a warning that more is coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're saying here. And everybody better, I'm just telling you, it's as serious as it gets. This ain't the platform for me to get into it the way I'm going to get into it. But I've been saying he's coming. He's coming because in his eyes, folks try to throw him in jail. In his eyes, he's innocent. They try to put me behind bars. I'm getting everybody. He's not playing. And so this, in a lot of people's eyes, talk to people in the NBA, talk to people in the NFL, talk to people in the world of sports. They think this is like the tip of the iceberg. These are the kind of words that are coming out of people's mouths. It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's better brace themselves because he's coming.
Well, yes, he's coming. Get ready, because Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. Something that Kash Patel said when he was on the Ingram show, he went on and said, look, there's really nothing to this. And what you just heard Stephen A. Smith say is ridiculous.
I'm the FBI director. I decide which arrests to conduct and which not to conduct. That may be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard out of anyone in modern history, and I live most of my time in Washington, D.C. It's right up there with Adam Schiff. We arrest people for crimes.
Exactly. So this is a mess. I'm telling you, it's going to be a heck of an investigation. Other shoes to drop. The investigation continues. But is it a fair thing to do? Well, we'll check in with Shaquille O'Neal on that question right after we check in on traffic and weather.
Well, it looks like we do have an accident reported at I-24 eastbound past the Shelby Avenue exit. Nothing on the cams, but the sensors show some slowing. That was reported by Metro. And currently, we got 41 degrees in Nashville. Looks like we're going to warm up to the mid-60s today. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, that weather looks nice, Sam. It looks like it's going to be around 66 today, 69 tomorrow. Sunday is going to be apparently a wash with rain. They're now saying 90% chance of rain on Sunday. And on Monday, as you plan your weekend activities, the best day to get things done outside will be Saturday. Okay, there you go. We're talking about the gambling crackdown that's coming. I mean, people who were associated with the NBA and the La Cosa Nostra have all been, arrested. This is a big dog deal. It really is a big dog deal. And according to Shaquille O'Neal, who knows a thing or two about all this, this is troubling to him, and it never should have happened, because he says that people who play in the NBA, people who coach in the NBA, are all warned very regularly that you shouldn't do this kind of stuff.
And I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical about certain things. I homeboy gamble, Ernie. Bet it. We've been on teams. We played cards. We played spades. We played tonk. But with that being said, every year they would give us forums on what and what not to do. Mm-hmm. One of those things where if somebody asks you if a certain player is playing, you say no. So all these guys knew what was at stake. And I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position. We all know the rules. We all know the letter of the law. And it's just unfortunate. Innocent to proven guilty. But usually when the FBI has something, they have you.
Yeah. Listen, this is a buttoned-up case. This is pretty strong stuff. From NBC News, this is their take on it. The web of alleged criminal activity laid out in 2 federal indictments that redlight plot summaries for Martin Scorsese crime epics. Officials say key roles were played in one case by members of the notorious Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese families, as well as defendants with nicknames like The Wrestler, Juice, Big Bruce, and Pookie. The indictments threatened to create a reputational headache for both the NBA, one of the marquee professional sports leagues in the country, and the booming but increasingly scrutinized sports gambling industry. In a statement, the NBA said Billups and Rozier would be replaced on immediate leave. In the first case, dubbed Operation Nothing But Bet, I see what they did there, by federal agents, prosecutors accused 6 defendants and participants of an insider sports betting scheme that exploited confidential information about basketball players and about teams. U.S. Attorney Joseph Nacella, Jr. of the Eastern District of New York told reporters at that news conference yesterday. From Outkick.com, NBA's Billups Rozier arrested in FBI probe involving alleged prop bets, poker rings, and mob ties. Here's something interesting. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones is accused of selling non-public information about players to conspirators who bet on games. But the headline is really about LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And in other words, did Damon Jones sell information about LeBron James and Anthony Davis and their playability in any given game? Former NBA player, assistant coach Damon Jones, accused of taking part in a sports betting scandal in which he allegedly shared non-public information about Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James and Anthony Davis, named in an unsealed indictment Thursday as part of a widespread gambling investigation. Very cheating, very sophisticated cheating technologies. You may have heard this a little earlier in the newscast. It's really quite amazing what they were doing in these poker games to get an advantage. X-ray tables, hidden cameras, pre-marked cards, even special contact lenses. Prosecutors say the suspects charged Thursday in a high-profile illegal gambling bust made use of sophisticated technology to cheat victims out of tens of millions of dollars. A series of arrests. Law enforcement officers across the country took several big names in NBA basketball and dozens of alleged criminal figures into custody on illegal betting charges. Shaq said something that I think he's right about. He says, look, the FBI, when they come to you in a case like this, you can be pretty sure they've got it buttoned up. They have all of the evidence that they need. This is not some kind of willy-nilly arrest. This is a years-long investigation. The investigation's been going on much longer than President Trump has been in office. So any suggestion by Stephen A. Smith or others that somehow this is being orchestrated by pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's not Trump. I don't know how you get that. That is, I will have to say, I agree with Kash Patel. It is one of the most ridiculous things that I think I have ever heard. This is going to be an ongoing story, and as you heard them say today, and like yesterday, that this is indeed just the beginning. That there's a lot more that's straight ahead. I think that is true. And I think we've not heard the last of this investigation. I think there are other, very big tennis shoes that are about to drop. In a moment, as long as we're talking about the NBA, let's talk about something positive, something, that will make your heart feel good this morning. An unbelievable performance at an NBA game of the national anthem. You don't want to miss this. It's 22 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock.
And coming up at 5:30, a former Alabama quarterback is running for lieutenant governor of the Roll Tide state. An outcry from Tennessee Democrats over the rejection of a resolution on a county school board. Those stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How much time back, please? It is 27 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Brian Wilson in for Dan Mandis on Nashville's Morning News on this Friday, the 24th day of October. Nice day on tap, 66 degrees. We're talking a little bit about the gambling scandal, and then it involves the NBA. And it's almost as if the NBA realized, we need to start, maybe expressing a few things about, doing a few things differently. Let's put it that way. And so they normally do not carry the national anthem on a broadcast, on a game broadcast. It's just, they get right down to the game. They don't do it. But that changed. The NBA season opener between the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder at Paycom Center featured a stirring performance of the national anthem by Navy veteran Gerald Wilson. I believe it's Gerald Wilson. On social media, he told on people that there would be a good chance he'd be on national TV, and indeed he was. And, I mean, look, we don't normally do this in the morning, but I've got about 2 minutes here, and it's pretty stirring, and it's amazing. Here is the national anthem as performed at the game last night in Oklahoma City.
For the performance of tonight's national anthem, please welcome retired United States Navy Petty Officer, First Class, Gerald Wilson. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ring clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
I mean to tell you, that guy can sing. That was remarkable. And, that's a good way to start off your day. 5:30 now, time for the news on Super Talk 99.7.
Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's 5:30, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. National championship winning Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron announced his candidacy for the lieutenant governor's position in the Yellowhammer State. McCarron took to YouTube to explain he was running as a Republican and that his inspiration came from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. McCarron felt like he had to, quote, get off the sidelines, he says, because Alabama's conservative and cultural values are under attack from every direction. A.J. is looking to be the latest figure to go from sports to politics, as former Auburn football head coach turned Senator Tommy Tuberville already announced his run for governor of the state. And locally, outcry from Montgomery County Democrats as the school board rejects a proposal to allow undocumented children to enroll in public and charter schools within the county. At the Tuesday, October 21st meeting of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Board of Education, the body rejected a proposed resolution regarding a controversial Tennessee House and Senate bill on immigration. At one point in the discussion, CMCSS School Board Chair Chris Lanier had to have several disruptive audience members escorted out of the meeting to continue conducting business. The resolution also affirmed the right to, quote, education for all. Berry said in Tuesday's meeting all children should have the right to get a free and equitable public education. School board member Aaron Mayberry, who also serves as Tennessee state representative, said the goal of the creators of the bill were attempting to help the immigration system by challenging a 1982 Supreme Court ruling on Plyler versus Doe. Ultimately, students have that have a legal immigration status cannot receive federal or state funds for college unless they have a status that is legal, and our immigration system is broken, Mayberry said. The goal from Tennessee is to challenge that to help break it so that ultimately Congress will fix it. Mayberry also said the issue should remain at the state level, and it was not a school district issue. He made a motion to postpone the resolution indefinitely. And Senate Democrats voted against a bill that would have paid military personnel and federal workers reporting to work during the government shutdown, including TSA, air traffic controllers, and ICE agents. That's the latest news. We have your traffic up next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. Well, it's 5:30 in the morning in Nashville, so that means there's accidents out on the roads. We've got an accident reported now at Murfreesboro Pike and Hobson Pike, reported by Metro Nashville Police out in Antioch, and still have that crash over in the East Bank area on I-24 eastbound past the Shelby Avenue exit. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 37 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. It's Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, filling in today for Dan Mandis, who will return to his regular slot on Monday. He's been doing Red Eye Radio. I'm telling you. I don't know. I've never tried to do that show, but I got to tell you, that's not an easy task, doing a show like that goes all night long by yourself. Congratulations on Dan's, getting to do that. But he'll be back on Monday. We want to talk this half hour about crazy Democrats and the nutty things they're doing. Here, for example, is James Carville. We'll start with him. I don't know what's up, but James must have woke up on the wrong side of the bed the other day, because, he's saying crazy stuff. Every once in a while Carville will do a pretty severe critique of his own party, and it's very interesting, and I think generally on target about the things that the Democrat Party is doing wrong. But he has, as everyone does, who's a Democrat, has a D after their name, Trump derangement syndrome, and he's talking about now how, we're going after Antifa. He says there is no Antifa.
I want to punch the president of Antifa. Give me his address. Where do I find his son? Who is the board of directors?
Well, I can tell you right now, according to court documents, and this is reported by the Washington Examiner, the Antifa financier, the big one, is 57-year-old Daryl Lamont Jenkins, behind something known as the Torch Network, an accrediting Antifa body responsible for recognition of Antifa chapters around America. Yeah, this is real. I can tell James Carville it is very real, because I've gone nose to nose with these people in the field at major stories. I've gotten into scuffles with them. I'm telling you, they do exist.
Who are those? There is no such thing as Antifa. It's like attacking vapor, right? There is no Antifa. So I'm defending air. It's the same thing, or attacking air. What? But I'm serious. We just keep, and they loop into this, and they keep repeating it, and it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Antifa. It's not an organization. There's nothing.
Well, he's wrong about that. And there is an Antifa, and it's real, and it's out there, and the fact that he's trying to say it doesn't exist is just bizarre. Yes, it exists. It is real, and it is a force for evil in this country, as far as I can tell. Let's turn now to J.B. Pritzker. I'm going to play a clip of J.B. Pritzker. Runs about 1:30. He's the governor of Illinois. And he says that the Trump, again, this is TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. He says because Trump wants to send, troops to Illinois to secure the situation there, to make the streets safe once again, that's not his real motive here, according to J.B. Pritzker. No, this all has to do with Trump getting ready to steal the election. Are you ready for this nonsense?
Look, as you know, he said that he was going to come after immigration. He thinks that what he's doing now is actually helping. It's not. It is literally causing mayhem on the ground, which is something that he wants. So why does he want it? Why does he want to send troops in? I will tell you what my theory is about this, and I believe I'm right, which is because he's talked about this for some time. Let's go back to 2020 when he said that the election was stolen from him. It wasn't. And it was Michael Flynn that told the president, and he repeated it, that maybe they should just seize the ballot boxes with the military. Maybe they should go to where the ballot box, and then they should count the votes themselves.
Well, that wasn't Trump. So, anybody can say something to the president of the United States. It doesn't mean he agrees with it.
Here we are in 2025. He is becoming more unpopular. He is likely to lose.
Well, I'm not sure that's true because his popularity ratings are up.
The 2026 elections. And he's sending troops into American cities, and particularly in blue states, in blue cities. Mm-hmm. to put them on the ground, get us used to the idea of having military on the ground. I believe because he then will say, well, I'm going to go protect our polling places in Illinois. And then if he is losing the elections, meaning the Congress, he will frankly just seize the ballot boxes.
So you think he's going to? So you're saying that the president of the United States is going to try to steal an election? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, this is a guy who tried to steal the election back in 2020, and he would do it again. Yeah, I think he's proven that he's willing to do that.
How do you corrupt something that Trump is doing, which is basically saying to the American people, the Democrat leaders of your state, of your city, are not getting the job done, and the streets are unsafe, and so we're going to make the streets safe? How do you twist that? What kind of convoluted logic is there to that turns it into, well, he's going to steal the election? That's what this is really all about. Insane. Just insane. Now, if we can for a moment, let's turn to this ongoing thing about the East Wing and the ballroom that Trump wants to build there, and they've demolished the old East Wing is gone. This is what I love about Trump. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. Trump is not going to ask anybody for permission if something comes up later. Says, oh, well, I'm sorry. It's too late now. What are you going to do? I mean, he took that's part of the structure down in one day. It went down in one day. There's no time to file injunctions and all that kind of stuff. What are you going to do? Oh, it's gone. Sorry. No, he did not want to ask for permission. If anything, he will at some point ask for forgiveness, but I don't even know if he'll do that. That's what was going on. And it's not going to cost the American taxpayers one red cent. It's all being paid for through private donations, and they released a bunch of the donations. A lot of, the people that you might expect. Amazon is there, and Microsoft is there. The big corporations of America have ponied up the money to have this done, and Trump says he'll put in his own money to make it happen. If whatever needs to be made up, he'll make it up. But it's going to be spectacular. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of Democrats in the House of Representatives, is saying that he and the Democrats will be investigating anybody who gives money to Trump for that new ballroom.
It's highly doubtful that it's legal. We haven't been able to find any congressional authority for it.
I can't find any that says he can't do it.
Or any executive authority. And more likely, this is part of what Donald Trump has been doing since day one of his presidency, running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, and probably soliciting donations from people who've got business before the United States government. And all of this is going to have to be investigated. It will. All of this will have to be uncovered. It will. And these people are going to be held accountable no matter how long it takes. That's going to be the reality of the situation. And that's our warning to all of these people participating in this scheming to manipulate taxpayer dollars and, of course, to destroy the people's house. The White House belongs to the American people. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump.
Well, he is the person who has been given by the American people the authority to live there and to operate that complex as he sees fit. He's the president of the United States. Look, I can tell you that any time there is an attempt to do something, to build something in Washington, it turns into a long, unbelievably complex, bureaucratic nightmare. Nothing happens quickly in Washington, D.C. I mean, I've covered government for a lot of years, and I can tell you the wheels of government can grind excessively slowly. He's trying to do something while he's there to see it through during his term. He's a builder. He's used to moving quickly. Government doesn't move quickly. If he had gone to somebody and said, hey, thinking about this ballroom, what do you think? I guarantee you inside of a week, that project would be essentially dead because they would bureaucrat that thing to death. Well, you have to file this paper in triplicate, and we need carbon copies, and blah, 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 blah. And it would have slowed the process down. He's already knocked the building down. What are you going to do? Just leave it like that? He knew what he was doing, and I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. Other presidents have made changes to the White House complex. I could go through the list like I did yesterday. You got George W. Bush, who rebuilt the briefing room downstairs, the secure briefing center down beneath the White House. You have Clinton, who was, I think he put in a putting green. You got a pool that was put in by Kennedy or FDR or somebody. You got all kinds of things that have happened over the years. Presidents have made changes to it, and nobody's ever said a word. But in this environment that we're in right now, Donald Trump says anything, Democrats are going to be against it. How can you be against and it is beautiful, a beautiful ballroom that has been needed and had been discussed at the White House for years? We need a bigger space. We don't need to be setting up tents on the lawn. How can you be against that? How can you be against a revamping of the Rose Garden? I mean, I don't think that Jacqueline Kennedy ask anybody before she redid the Rose Garden. I don't remember anybody doing it. What authority did she have? So this is just a bunch of, sound and fury signifying nothing. They just hate Trump. They're just going to go after Trump every opportunity they get. Other Democrat stuff that's just crazy. A Biden judge has threatened to arrest ICE agents detaining illegals at the courthouse. U.S. District Court Judge Jeffrey Cummings, Cook County, Illinois. ICE agents are restricted from making collateral arrests at courthouses, including their operations. Under what authority does he put this down? This will get thrown out. Everything that happens, Trump is winning in the courts. It just, in the lower courts, he loses. In the higher courts, he wins. The fair administration of justice requires the courts remain open and accessible, and that litigants and witnesses may appear without fear of civil arrest. Says who? If you broke the law and you're trying to avoid arrest, you're fair game anywhere. And I've seen this happen. I've seen people arrested at the courthouse when they show up. It's not an unusual thing. Democrats yesterday blocked a bill that would have paid the military and essential workers during the government shutdown. Again, this is I think the 13th time they've done it, something like that. Democrats blocked the Shutdown Fairness Act of 2025, sponsored by Senator Ron Johnson. It was a 54-45 vote. And, of course, anything difficult in the Senate requires 60 votes. Senators John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, Democrat, John Fetterman, crossed the party lines to vote in favor of the measure. So we're 6 votes short. So you got to get 60 votes. And we'll see whether or not they can do it. So far, I don't know that's going to happen anytime soon. And why are they doing it? Listen to this. The Democrat whip of the U.S. House of Representatives, Catherine Clark, said, American families are going to have to suffer through the Democrat-led government shutdown so that the party can retain its leverage. This from the Federalist. Shutdowns are terrible, and of course there'll be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leverage times we have, suggesting that, you'll have to suffer for us to make our political point because we hate Trump. That's what this really is. It is the longest full shutdown in American history, said Mike Johnson at a Tuesday press conference. And yet again, Senate Democrats have voted, 10, 11, 12 times, when you count House and Senate Democrats, to prolong the pain and keep the government closed. So just a few of the things that your crazy Democrats are doing. At 52 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock.
Coming up on Super Talk 99.7, one airline's IT outage may have set a warning to other companies around the world, and an update on the Memphis Safe Task Force, which has already seen over 1,000 arrests in September. Those stories and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
How much time when it? It is 57 minutes now past the hour, 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair for Dan Mandis. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well this morning. Nice day on tap. Going to be a nice Friday, nice Saturday, a little rain on Sunday. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, who's winning the shutdown battle. Because you hear the Democrats say, well, you know what, Trump is losing this is going badly for Trump. I'm not sure that's true. And I'm not sure that there's any evidence that points that is true. In fact, the evidence seems to suggest the other. What you need to understand that, if you're the president of the United States and you have a 45% approval rating, that's not horrible. It's really not. It's pretty good as these things go. According to recent polling by multiple institutions, President Donald Trump's public perception has been unscathed by the shutdown, despite Democrat Party messaging, and he and his party are saying are the responsibility of the Democrats. This is from justthenews.com. Data show Trump's approval ratings have either held steady or have slightly improved during the ongoing government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history, now at over 3 weeks. Let's go through some of the numbers. Newsweek tracker. Trump's approval, highest point since August. Now at 45%. Again, I told you, 45% is not horrible. A Morning Consult poll shows Trump approval is at his highest point since the end of August at 46% approval. That's some 2,000 registered voters. And Just the News spoke with public opinion pollster Scott Rasmussen, who said that for 29 straight weeks, Trump has been basically at 50%. Sometimes it slips down to 48, sometimes 52. His polling shows him right around 50 most of the time. A YouGov Economist poll shows that things are doing well. I got a 2-point bump in just the last week. So tell me how Trump is losing and the Democrats are winning in this battle. It is 59 minutes, almost 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Time for the news with Sam Rutherford.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's 6 o'clock, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. Dozens of delays and cancellations have been reported at San Francisco International Airport after Alaska Airlines had to ground their flights nationwide Thursday night after experiencing an IT outage affecting operations. The Seattle-based airline saying the issue was a failure in their primary data center and was not a cyber attack. The ground stop was later lifted, but the airline warned additional delays are possible Friday as they work to reposition their aircraft and crews. Lucy Maynard, whose flight to New York from San Francisco was impacted, tells ABC News she was shocked when she got the alert. Well, she was already at the airport.
Just checked the app on the phone and saw that our flight had been cancelled, and it looked like it just happened, like people had been putting their bag through bag drop seamlessly, and then it just sort of cancelled.
And locally, law enforcement officials have made more than 1,000 arrests and found dozens of missing children in Memphis, Tennessee, as part of President Donald Trump's crime crackdown in the notoriously violent city. Fox News Digital learned Wednesday from arresting more than 100 gang members to locating more than 70 missing children. Our brave federal agents and local authorities are doing incredible work to protect the good people of Memphis. Attorney General Pam Bondi said Wednesday in comment to Fox News. Tolerating crime is a choice. Under President Trump, we refuse to accept the victimization of innocent American citizens and will continue making our cities safe again. A White House official told Fox Digital that there have been 1,309 total arrests since September when the operation officially launched, including 9 arrests for homicide, 52 arrests for sex offenses, 527 warrants, and 132 for firearm offenses. Memphis has long been one of America's most dangerous cities, frequently ranking it in the top spot for violent crime and recording 40.6 homicides per 100,000 people in 2024. And a sad but hopeful update on the Alabama high schooler who was critically injured in a shooting last weekend. 18-year-old Kimber Mills was rolled through the hospital Tuesday evening as she was taken into surgery to donate her organs to save the lives of others. Kimber was surrounded by hundreds of people on her honor walk, from hospital staff to fellow classmates and teachers. Her sister Ashley shared that the heart and lungs already had matches. Mills was shot in the head after 27-year-old Stephen Whitehead allegedly opened fire at a bonfire. He was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, with officials updating his charges to homicide after Mills' passing. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures still up 52 points pre-market open. NASDAQ up 120 points, and the S&P futures are up 20 points. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. Okay, it looks like we still have that accident out in Antioch on Murfreesboro Pike at Hobson Pike, and a new crash now out in Williamson County in the Franklin area. Actually, it's a stall on the right shoulder, which is now blocked on I-65 northbound past the I-840 exit on 59. It was reported by the scanner. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good morning to you. It's 6:06 on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair today for Dan Mandis. He'll be back on Monday. By the way, pretty chilly this morning as you're getting up and around. I don't know about you. I broke out the sweatshirts. I got my hoodie on this morning, I'm telling you, because it's 39 degrees outside.
You look tree stand ready to me, Brian.
I'm telling you, I got my ball cap on. I got my hoodie with it's got camouflage on it. So there you go. I'm all good to go. I'm all good to go. Hey, listen, I want to start by this hour by talking about some things that you may be hearing a lot about today because it happened sort of overnight as far as I can tell. All I know is that I was watching the news last night when I went to bed, and I didn't hear anything about it. When I wake up this morning, it's on every website that I looked at. Apparently, we are in the middle of a trade war with... I will say I love the Canadian national anthem. It's a great song. But anyway, we're in a fight with Canada. Let's just hold on. Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, Canada. That's what we're saying in Washington right now, because Trump says he is terminating trade negotiations with one of our most important trading partners to the north, Canada. The president criticized Ottawa for an advertisement featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. President Trump, this is from the Wall Street Journal, President Trump said late Thursday he was terminating trade negotiations with Canada, pointing to a television advertisement sponsored by the Ontario government that features the voice of Ronald Reagan as he speaks negatively about tariffs. Here's what Trump said. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. The president claimed that Canada, and by the way, the Reagan Library and the Reagan Institute are saying the same thing. The president claimed that Canada fraudulently used an advertisement which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The threat to cut off negotiations, the latest in a series of trade disputes between the U.S. and Canada, a months-long saga that has seen Trump threaten to cut off talks before, but eventually relenting after concessions come from Ottawa. It's Trump taking advantage of a stupid move by their people. This should never have ever been run. They knew it was going to irritate Trump. They knew that there would be repercussions. They're not dumb. So anyway, this is happening. What was it? The ad? Well, I've got the ad. You want to hear it? Again, remember, as you're hearing the words of Ronald Reagan, we are being told reliably by the White House and by the Reagan Institute that this is not really a true, it's been edited deceitfully is kind of what they're suggesting. Here is the spot as it ran.
Someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports. It looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
So there you have it. Again, we're told that that is somewhat deceitful. It is not a true representation of Ronald Reagan's positions. Because you never see Reagan on camera, you can edit it up anyway. I mean, they cover it with beautiful pictures, but you don't ever see Reagan. I think if they showed you Reagan, you'd see just how edited that soundbite is. Look, editing a soundbite is not a bad thing. I mean, I have edited so many sound bites in my life. I edited 15 for today's show. But I mean, I used to do this in television, and they would say, the rule was, it's not bad to edit for time, or, people don't speak in straight lines. They start a thought, then they get off on a tangent. And if you take the tangent out and put the two sides together, as long as you're faithfully producing what the person has said, you're not changing the meaning of what he said, editing is okay. It has to be done, quite frankly. I do very little editing, as you know. If you listen to me when I'm on the air, my sound bites are, as we say, rather expansive. They run long because I want you to get it all. I want you to get all the nuance. I don't want to edit it. But if you are going to edit, you got to edit responsibly. And they're now saying the folks in Canada didn't do that. We'll continue to watch that story, but you're going to hear a lot about it today as the trade battle between the United States and Canada is heating up. I'll take a little heating up. It's 39 degrees, for goodness sake. Probably colder here than it is in Canada. Trump has reopened the Alaska refuge for oil and gas development. Hey, here we go. The Interior Department announced Thursday a sweeping package of actions, according to Newsmax, to boost energy development and modernize land and resource management in Alaska. Plan includes reopening a wildlife refuge that was restricted under the Biden administration. This is the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, known as ANWR. It's been a political football for years, but it will now be open for oil and natural gas leasing. Permits will be streamlined for energy projects across federal land in Alaska. I can guarantee you, in Alaska, they're thrilled about this. They are beyond crazy happy that this is happening, because you can do it responsibly. This debate has been had so many times, it's wearisome. But I'm glad to see. Get in there again. This is the trick Trump is doing. He's front loading everything. Get in there, get it done, and get it in place, and get the drilling started. Because once you start the drilling, it's awful hard to take it back. Get in there, get it going, and you have time to do that during the remainder of your administration. We still got 3 years to go. More than 3 years. So much has been done in the first 10 months of this year. We're about 10 months since he took the oath of office. 10 months, 4 days. And so, this is the kind of thing that, if you got so much of what you want to get, it's all gravy at this point. But if you can get it done and get it rolling, sort of like the ballroom, you get it built, what are they going to do? Tear it down? Some people say they actually want to tear it down. I can't believe that. So anyway, this is a big deal. And what that means is we're going to have, again, lower energy prices. And when you have lower energy prices, what happens? That's right. Things become cheaper. Things are not as expensive. You don't have to pay as much to get your product or your service to market. Everything, I'm telling you, energy is the key to a strong economy. Trump understands that, and he's right. And you know what? It's the reason why gas, I had a story here, I think I still have it from yesterday. Yeah, gas prices nationwide now below $3. First time that it's happened since May of 21. That's amazing. It attributes the report that came in from the experts attributes the lower prices to factors like falling crude prices, lower gasoline demand, cheaper winter blend petrol at the pump. A lot of things going in the right direction, and Trump is taking full advantage of that as president of the United States. A lot more to talk about with regard to the economy and things that are going on right now. Got to pause for traffic and weather at 15 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Looking for a high today of around 66 degrees. Currently, right now in Nashville, let me look again because it's gotten chilly. 39 degrees. I mean, I don't know about you. I turned on the heater last night.
I would call that a tit-bit nipply, Brian.
Yeah, that's a what now?
A tit-bit nipply.
Yeah, it is. It is very nippy out there. I put on my sweatshirt. I got my that going. I turn on the heater. Tried to make sure the Cabana wife didn't kick off the covers again. She takes a great exception to that, by the way.
Does that happen to you too?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Your feet are left out to freeze.
She's a cover kicker. Is what she is. She's yelling now. In fact, you'll probably get a text message. Other news that has to do with the economy, and this is pretty interesting stuff. I saw one. I got one here. Ford profit more than doubles on growth in sales of pickups and SUVs. Ford's having a good run right now. Net income soared to $2.4 billion from $900 million in shares, and Ford rose more than 4% in after-hours trading. Ford Chief Executive Jim Farley thanked President Trump for expanding tariff relief on imported auto parts while taxing rivals that make medium and heavy-duty trucks in Mexico or elsewhere. We are no longer disadvantaged for building every single one of our Super Duties in the United States. The company is also poised to take advantage of a meaningful reduction in federal emission regulations that will allow them to sell more trucks and SUVs. So there you go. I mean, this is a good thing. When we're selling cars in America, that is an absolutely good thing. By the way, we're talking about the cars that and the trucks that are selling right now are gasoline vehicles. The electric vehicle, look, I'm not against electric vehicles. I've actually thought about getting an electric vehicle. May get one yet. But for those who don't want it, they shouldn't have to get it, and they shouldn't be forced to buy them. Here's an indication, though, of where the market is. VW has come up with this thing. It's a pretty cool-looking vehicle, actually. It's sort of a remake of their old VW van from the 60s. It's called the ID Buzz. It's an electric bus, and they are pausing production because of weak demand. It was hotly in demand when it first came out, has suffered from increased demand and American consumers turning away from EVs in general. The Drive reports that Volkswagen has announced that production of its highly anticipated electric van will be temporarily halted at its Hanover, Germany factory. The pause in production, initially scheduled to last through this week, comes as a result of slowing demand for the vehicle, changing market conditions, and intense competition in the electric vehicle market. I saw, I'm not sure whether you can buy these in America or not. I could be wrong. I saw some when I was in Canada earlier this year. I was up in Sault Ste. Marie, and I saw one. It's a pretty cool-looking vehicle, but apparently, they're not selling. And so they have paused production. Ford selling pickups and SUVs that burn gasoline, and they can't keep them in stock. They're doing great. The electric vehicles, not so much. Americans are not quite ready for the electric vehicle. So there is that. Other news that has to do with the economy, our own governor is on a economic development trip. Tennessee is a global leader, writes the Washington Examiner, for its pro-business climate, low taxes, and highly skilled workforce. And we're proud to showcase what makes our state a top destination for industry and innovation, said Governor Bill Lee. As states across the nation compete for world-class companies, it's our responsibility to cultivate strong international relationships and strategic partnerships that demonstrate Tennessee's unwavering commitment to expanding opportunity and prosperity for all Tennesseans. I mean, really, honestly, with tariffs, many companies are now saying, well, you know what, I need to move my manufacturing back to the United States. And since there is that demand to come back to the United States, to start building factories in this country so they don't have to pay these tariffs, you are seeing an opportunity there, and the governor is taking full advantage of it. It says, combined companies across Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan employ more than 60,000 Tennesseans. Did you know that? I didn't. Which we believe is a clear reflection of our state's long-standing commitment to build stronger international relationships. Japanese companies invest $20.7 billion in Tennessee and employ 49,000, almost 50,000 people, according to the Department of Economic and Community Development. Governor's sixth trip since taking office, according to a release from his office. State officials have made 2 economic development trips in 25, paid for by state funds. The state spent $10,000 for a trip to Taiwan in March. So Lee and Lee's chief of staff, Joseph Williams, a guy named McWhorter, all went to Paris for economic trip in June. That cost the state $5,200 in travel expenses for Lee. The state has 1,011 foreign-owned businesses in Tennessee, according to state records. Well, we ought to take advantage of it. I mean, if companies are coming back to America, they ought to dadgum come to Tennessee because it's the best place to be, right? No state income tax, low cost of doing business. This is where you need to be, and Lee is taking full advantage of that. 22 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock.
Coming up on Super Talk 99.7, one Clinton is speaking out about the White House renovations, and Attorney General Pam Bondi is out for one former mayor. Those stories and more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 29 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Put on a sweater, put on a light jacket, put on a sweatshirt, something. It's cold outside. It's 39 degrees. At least it was a couple of minutes ago. Right at 40. So it's a chilly morning. Not quite frost on the pumpkin, but we're getting there. Got a lot of stuff to talk about here. In a minute, we'll get into the whole thing about the ballroom. But let me just sort of continue on my economic stories. The President of the United States is now headed for a big, high-stakes Asian trip with the China trade deal on the line. Now, he's declared war with Canada, but he says he's getting very close to a trade deal with China, which is it's the big kahuna. This is the one you want. This is the one you want to get straightened out. You get a favorable deal with China, and it will pay dividends to this country for decades and decades to come. Trump to meet China's Xi for the first time in his second term as a trade deal remains elusive, they say. U.S. President Donald Trump will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping next week as part of his trip to Asia, as the world's two top economies seek to dial down tensions in search of a trade deal that has so far been elusive. I don't know. I'm hearing positive things about this thing being very close. Trump says that the conversations are going well, so we'll continue to watch that one very closely. Coming up after the news, the Ballroom Blitz, 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's 6:30, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. The entire East Wing of the White House now demolished as work on President Trump's new ballroom continues. Here's ABC's Perry Rusum with reaction to President Trump's project.
Critics are speaking out. Chelsea Clinton in a USA Today op-ed writes, President Trump has the right to pave over the Rose Garden and denude it of roses, as well as turn the East Wing into a ballroom. Still, it is unsettling that such substantial alterations are being undertaken without a historic preservation review.
Ironica Clinton saying something is disturbing. Attorney General Pam Bondi put former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot on notice Thursday night over her vow to unmask ICE agents. During an interview on Jesse Waters' Primetime, Bondi reacted to a clip of Lightfoot talking about how she wants to create a real-time portal to track purported criminal actions of ICE and CBP agents and unmask them. This is the first time we've seen Lori Lightfoot on video. That was just on your show, she told host Jesse Waters. She'll be getting a letter from us tomorrow to preserve anything she has done, as well to make sure she's not violating the law. It appears she is. You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Lightfoot made the comments on Fox 32 Chicago's Chicago Report. She said, and other attorneys are creating a nonprofit called the ICE Accountability Project. Bonnie stated that Lightfoot is not the only person being looked into. And exploding airbags in cars have caused deaths in the U.S. Here's ABC's Maggie Rulli with the details.
Federal regulators are now investigating a Chinese company whose airbag parts have exploded, causing deaths during crashes in the U.S. Officials say at least 6 people were killed when the company's airbag inflators ruptured and sprayed shrapnel into passengers. The cases involved airbags installed in 2 cars, the Chevy Malibu and the Hyundai Sonata.
That's the latest news. We have your traffic and weather coming up next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. Well, it appears traffic is flowing normally as you make your way into downtown. A bit of a slowdown at 65 in the junction with Briley Parkway. We do have an accident reported, might be the first of the season. Vehicle versus deer out in Montgomery County on I-24 westbound past Martin Luther King Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 37 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's time for an update on something that I like to call the Ballroom Blitz. Do you remember this one? The Ballroom Blitz. It's a ballroom blitz. It's a ballroom blitz. That's what's going on in Washington right now. All right, enough of that. You ready? Here we go. Done. All right, for 150 years, presidents, administrations, and White House staff have longed to have a very large event space in the White House complex. When you have a state dinner, it happens in the East Room. The East Room still exists. It's still there. It's a ceremonial room, but it is limited on the number of people that you can invite. State dinners, limited. How many people can you invite? And there has long been in Washington discussion of maybe we need a bigger complex. I mean, that's why they put tents out on the White House lawn on occasion. So they have now come up with a plan to build a ballroom. It's going to cost about $300 million, and it's going to be paid for by private donations to a foundation that will oversee the construction. Here's what I've got from the White House. This is the way they put it. In recent weeks, President Trump has held several meetings with members of the White House staff, the National Park Service, the White House Military Service, and the United States Secret Service to discuss design features and planning. So it's not as if he's doing this in a vacuum. The White House staff, the National Park Service, these are all people who would normally be involved in these kinds of decisions. They've chosen an architect known for their classical architectural design based on our nation's capital. And so they're going to build this thing. It began this week as they started to knock down the entire East Wing. It's gone. Didn't ask permission from anybody. He just did it. That's okay. Sometimes you got to ask for forgiveness rather than for permission. But he, what are you going to do? It's done. It's gone. You can't just leave it like that. You got to build something. Once it gets built, which will happen well within the frame of this president's second term, then, what are they going to do? Tear it down? Now, this needed to be done. Trump's a builder. He sees it. I feel great about where this is. I'm glad that this is happening. They need the space. Future administrations, both Democrat and Republican, if there are any more Democrat administrations, are gonna benefit from the wisdom of Donald Trump. But it's turned into a political football. Why? Because anything that Trump likes, the left is automatically going to hate. Absolutely going to hate it. And so where are we on this right now? Well, according to, let's see, I've got it here somewhere. Hakeem Jeffries. He says that the people who have made these donations are going to be investigated. He thinks that this is a scandal. I don't see the scandal myself. I see an act of largesse. I see patriotic companies coming forward and contributing to something for their country. Not just Donald Trump, but for the country. It's a patriotic thing to do, I think, to pick up the cost so the taxpayers don't have to do it. But Hakeem Jeffrey says if you give money to this project, you're going to be investigated by Democrats.
It's highly doubtful that it's legal. We haven't been able to find any congressional authority for it or any executive authority. And more likely, this is part of what Donald Trump has been doing since day one of his presidency, running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, and probably soliciting donations from people who've got business before the United States government. And all of this is going to have to be investigated. It will. All of this will have to be uncovered. It will. And these people are going to be held accountable no matter how long it takes. That's going to be the reality of the situation. And that's our warning to all of these people participating in this scheming.
Sounds like a threat, doesn't it? It's a warning. Be ashamed something happened to your nice company because you were trying to be patriotic.
To manipulate taxpayer dollars and, of course, to destroy the people's house. The White House belongs to the American people. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump.
Listen, if you sent this out and you said, hey, listen, I'd like to build a new ballroom, what do you think? I guarantee you this thing would be bogged down for years. Not just weeks, not just days, not just months, years. I remember I've been in that town for 31 years. They've been talking about rebuilding the FBI building, I don't know, since I went to Washington in 86. And they still haven't rebuilt the damn thing. It's been it's been discussed, it's been bounced around, we're going to be at this location, going to be at that location. No, we don't need one. Yes, we do. All of that went on for, decades. That's the way things work in Washington. They will bureaucrat a thing to death. And Trump's not going to do that. Now, you're going to hear a lot of talk about the fact that they initially said it's going to be $200 million, then $250. Now they're saying $300. Here's what Caroline Levitt says about that. With any construction projects, there are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of those changes. But just trust the process. This is going to be a magnificent addition to the White House for many years to come. She's right. She also emphasized a number of times there will be no cost to taxpayers. That's because Trump is soliciting private donations to build the ballroom. Nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of private companies that give to presidential foundations or things like this. Every inauguration is paid for, by and large, by donations from major corporations. It's been going on forever. It includes the list of donors includes individuals such as Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Blackstone CEO Stephen Schwarzman, and encompasses a number of corporations such as Amazon. Listen to this: Amazon, Apple, Comcast, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, and Palantir. Those donors do need indeed alleviate any burden on the taxpayers. It will be 90,000 square feet, which Trump has said will be enough to accommodate roughly 1,000 people. Stark contrast to the East Room, peak capacity of the East Room, 200 people. I've been in the East Room a lot. That's about right. To be clear, the East Room is the main central structure of the White House and is unaffected by the demolition of the separate East Wing. The East Wing basically is a long set of hallway, and there were some offices there. The library, I think, may have been there. I remember, but it was basically separate and apart from the living space, the main White House, and the West Wing. It's a completely separate part, and it was designed largely, as a place to process people who come into the White House. If you've ever been on a White House tour, you've gone through the part that got destroyed. I've been to a number of events at the White House, apart and separate from my reporting there, and it was unremarkable. It really wasn't all that in a bag of chips, I'm telling you. This will be a great addition that will give the White House and future presidents and future administrations a great deal of flexibility when they want to hold world-class events. It is the people's house. It ought to be a world-class house, and I don't have any problem with it. None whatsoever. A little late, let's get to traffic and weather. But remember, this is all, what is it? What is it? It's a ballroom blitz. We're looking for a high today of around 66 degrees. Right now in Nashville, I have the temperature at 38 degrees. You know, it gets a little cooler just before the sun comes up. We started at 40, 39, now at 38 degrees. We're just 6 degrees above freezing. So this is a day where you want to wear a sweatshirt, a sweater, a jacket. It'll be cool this morning, mild this afternoon. If you're going to do anything this weekend, let me just say 70 degrees on Saturday, cloudy skies, but Sunday's going to be, they say, a 90% chance of rain on Sunday and Monday. So there is all of that.
Well, we're going to have highs in the 50s next week, Brian, because of that cool down on Sunday.
That's right. I see, I'm looking down the line here. 57 for Wednesday is a high, Thursday 55. Friday and Saturday of next week, they're saying right at 59. So we are heading into fall weather. It is, just in time for Halloween. So there we have, we talk a little bit more. We'll talk more about the whole White House ballroom blitz thing a little bit later. I want to make sure that this story gets across the goal line here today, and that we have the opportunity to talk about this, because this is one of those scary stories. When you read it, you go, holy crap. How, boy, did we dodge a bullet there. And I mean, literally dodged a bullet. This is about something that nearly happened down on Lower Broadway. Have you heard this story? I'm bringing it from the website of WSMV. And I think this is a terrifying story. A man is under arrest for making threats of mass violence against crowds on Lower Broadway after police said he posted videos on social media showing him with weapons and threatening to harm people. Police said 53-year-old Philip Anderson Jr. was seen in a video driving downtown with a shotgun and talking about killing police officers and other people. In the video, Anderson said he was going to find a sniper point and use his car to run over people on Lower Broadway, according to the arrest report. Now, officers rushed to Broadway after getting reports of the threat, fearing that there might be a possible mass casualty event. Is this not terrifying? I think it is. They were able to track down and arrest Anderson while he was driving drunk just a couple of blocks away from Broadway before anyone was hurt, according to police. What would have happened if police had not been on this? What would have happened if they had missed this or they couldn't find it? It could have been a horrible thing. Can you imagine? Somebody from a rooftop bar in downtown Nashville? Anderson recorded himself armed with a shotgun, pulling alongside several police vehicles in the Music Center City parking garage, saying, "This is a 410 shotgun. I got it for them. I'm about to find a sniper point." The incident highlights an ongoing efforts by Metro Nashville to protect the busy downtown area. Over the next months, the Nashville Department of Transportation will install retractable roadblocks on Broadway designed to stop vehicles weighing up to 60,000 pounds, traveling at 50 miles per hour. I mean, you can talk about what happens in other countries. In other countries where they have more, everybody says, well, we have guys with guns and that's dangerous. But in countries where they don't have guns, they just basically use the car or a truck as a weapon. And that has happened time and time again. Smart to put in the barriers so that you can protect the people in what essentially becomes a pedestrian plaza at night on Lower Broadway. I think that the extra safety barriers down here would be very helpful. The area already has permanent safety bollards lining the sidewalk, but workers and visitors said the additional barriers would provide more protection. I'm really, really frightened by this guy who was threatening police and threatening people. He's going to shoot people from a sniper point. He's going to attack police officers. He's going to use his truck as a lethal weapon. All of this is entirely kudos, absolute kudos to the Metro Nashville Police Department for picking up on this and responding so quickly and tracking this guy down. He faces felony, false reporting, and gun possession while under the influence, and for posting threatening videos on social media. The Goodlettsville resident was arrested shortly after posting the videos, charged with DUI and drug possession. The additional charges were placed against him on Wednesday. He remains jailed on $11,000 bond. 52 minutes past the hour at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
And coming up at 7 o'clock, the FBI busts up an illegal gambling ring with all-star talent. And one major retailer is slashing jobs instead of prices. Those stories and more at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 58 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. It's Brian Wilson in for Dan Mandis. Hey, listen, did you hear? You know, Vandy's had a great season so far. What are they, 6-1? Something like that. ESPN's College Game Day is going to be doing their show for the Vandy matchup between Vanderbilt and Missouri on Saturday. That's tomorrow. And guess what? Middle Tennessee's own comedian and beloved actor, is he an actor? Really, he's a comedian. Not much of an actor. Will be representing the Commodores for the game picks. The pregame festivities will air live at 8 a.m. just before Saturday's game at First Bank Stadium. And Nate Bargatze will be picking the scores on the upcoming games. That's what he does. You know, it'll be fun. That's a thing they do. It's going to be great fun. Nate Bargatze, what a good guy. What a good guy. Listen, coming up in just a moment, we're gonna get into all kinds of stuff that has to do with this gambling scandal that you heard about yesterday. Everything you need to know, and why the left is confused. They now believe that somehow this is Donald Trump trying to get even with somebody. It's ridiculous. We'll get into it coming up after the news. It is 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Happy Friday, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. A gambling and cheating scandal involving the NBA and the Mafia. Former and current players, even a head coach under arrest. Here's ABC's Mola Lengi with details on the scam.
The technology allegedly used in the scheme is like something out of Mission Impossible. The FBI says the suspects used special glasses and contact lenses that could read invisible markings on cards. Casino security expert Sal Piasante showed us some of the technology.
I can't tell you what that top card is, but if I pop in contact lenses, or if I'm wearing my poker glasses, when you look at that card through that filter, you'll see what that card is.
The FBI says the suspects also used card shufflers that were rigged.
In other financial news, to improve the bottom line, Target is slimming down at the top, ABC's Dave Packer reports.
Target will lay off about 1,800 headquarters workers, or 8% of its corporate team, in what it calls a necessary step toward rebuilding growth. That according to a memo obtained by ABC News. The shakeup comes as company veteran Michael Fidelki prepares to take over as CEO in February. Fidelki says too many layers of slow decisions and stifled ideas. Managers will feel the brunt of the cuts. Target says it wants to rewire the organization and make quicker moves after years of sluggish sales and recent backlash over ending diversity policies. Dave Packer, ABC News.
And federal investigators will provide a major update Friday morning, per News Channel 5, on the deadly explosion that killed 16 workers at Accurate Energetic Systems near Bucksnort, Tennessee, 2 weeks ago. Federal agents with the ATF will hold a briefing at 10 a.m. to discuss their findings from the explosion and what people can expect in the coming weeks. We will try to cover that live on Super Talk. This is the first major update since last week. The explosion at AES has left far more questions than answers about why and how this tragedy happened. Authorities have repeatedly said this investigation is a marathon, not a race. It's going to take time to comb through hundreds of pieces of debris and details to piece together a cause. For families affected by this tragedy, a GoFundMe has raised over $46,000. The Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee will manage the fund, giving money through local nonprofits and faith-based organizations to help with immediate needs like funeral expenses and medical care, as well as long-term counseling services. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online, beaconcm.com. The Dow is up 80 points ahead of the market open. The NASDAQ is up 119 and the S&P is up 21. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. All right. It would not be a Friday morning without some accidents out on the roadways. As those normal volume delays start to pile up on our interstates this morning, let's just be wary. We've got an injury accident out at Pettis Road, south of Preston Road in Nashville. Another accident reported by Metro in Madison at Myatt Drive and Northgate Business Parkway. And then out in Williamson County, we've got an accident with the right shoulder block on 840 westbound before the Columbia Pike, exit 28. And then in Montgomery County, we still have that vehicle that hit a deer on I-24 westbound past exit 11. And then out in Cedar Hill and Robertson County, we have an accident with the left shoulder blocked at I-24 eastbound at Maxey Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good Friday morning to you, 7:07 on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis is off today. I'm Brian Wilson filling in, your friend and radio buddy. Glad to be here on this rather chilly Friday morning. Time to put on the sweater, put on the sweatshirt, maybe a light sweater. I don't know, but it's cold. It's 38 degrees outside. So, it's dippy, and it's going to be a little cold. So, this is we got to start thinking about bringing the plants in and making sure your animals are okay. You got to be careful because it's getting a little cool now. But just in time for Halloween. So there we go.
And last night, Brian, was the last sunset that will happen at 6:00. Tonight will be 5:59, and it only goes down from there.
When do we change back to regular time? Is that this Sunday?
Maybe.
I can't remember. Did it already happen? I don't know. I've been on vacation, man. I don't know.
November 2nd. You are correct, sir.
So that'll happen Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Sunday into Monday. Be sure to fall forward.
I'll fall forward out of bed. That's for sure.
No, spring. You spring. You fall back. You spring forward. That's what it is. Okay. Want to talk a little bit about something that you may have seen a little of yesterday if you watched the news when you got home last night. Everybody was talking about this huge gambling case. This is a big dog deal. I've never been a big fan of professional gambling or private gambling that you can do, in this country legally. But apparently there was a gambling ring that was run by La Cosa Nostra. That's the mafia. That's the big. There are 5 big families in New York that are what they call the LCN, the La Cosa Nostra, and these families were involved in working with the key players in the NBA to cheat. So one of the things they would do is they would hold these high-stake poker games, and you would get to sit down if you got involved in these games with a key figure from the NBA, maybe a player, maybe a coach, and you would gamble. The thing was, though, is that the gambling was rigged. They had X-ray glasses and X-ray tables, and they were cheating in a way that was unfair, and they were raking in millions of dollars. And then there was also game fixing in a way. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Here is Kash Patel, director of the FBI, talking at yesterday's press conference about this crackdown on illegal gambling controlled by the mafia families of New York.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
That's 4 out of the 5 crime families in New York. It is incredibly rare to get a case against the mafia, to build a case against the mafia, and not to mention building a case that ensnares 4 of the 5 major crime families.
You want a fun
and you'll hear more
anecdote?
about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
I mean, this started well before Trump. It's been going on for some time. This probably started way back during the Biden administration. I mean, the FBI is always trying to get, the mafia. So this is not related to Trump. We'll get into that in just a moment. Let me just go through some of the things that were happening. Scammers allegedly used Chauncey Billups, of the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, as part of a sprawling criminal scheme to lure unsuspecting poker players to rigged tables where he won far too often. He was a face card, Billups was a face card, prosecutor said, a high-profile person who could help attract big fish gamblers into ritzy card games in Manhattan, Las Vegas, Miami, and the Hamptons. Billups was aided by equipment like a manipulated shuffling machine and an X-ray table, and he played on the cheating team. In the middle of a game in Vegas in April of 2019, the orchestrators of the plot realized they had a problem. Billups was winning too many improbable hands. His streak would surely draw suspicion, they said in text messages. Billups needed to do something that very few professional athletes enjoy. He needed to lose on purpose, and that's the only way the criminal enterprise could continue to rake in cash. Ultimately, we're talking about $7 million over 6 years. And the Billups Miami Heat guard and Terry Rozier and dozens of others were charged as part of 2 sweeping investigations, one into illegal sports gambling and the other into poker rigging schemes allegedly backed by the mafia. The fraud is mind-boggling, as you heard Kash Patel say. The web of alleged criminal activity was laid out in 2 federal indictments that read like plot summaries for a Martin Scorsese crime epic. It was the Gambino, the Genovese, the Lucchese crime families, the Bonanno crime family, as well as defendants with nicknames like The Wrestler, Juice, Big Bruce, and Pookie. Never bet against a guy named Pookie.
You want a fun anecdote about some of the arrestees?
Sure.
Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier both played for Italian basketball coach Rick Pitino.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Let me pull up this other stuff about the here it is. Okay, here we go. The Charlotte Hornets were preparing to face off against the New Orleans Pelicans on March 23rd of 23. Terry Rozier had a plan. Is it Rozier or Rozier? Do you know?
Yes, Rozier.
Rozier. At the time, a starter for the Hornets, he told De Niro Laster, a childhood friend, that he was going to prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury and not return to further play. Laster turned around and sold the tip about Rozier's intention to other defendants and co-conspirators, giving them a chance to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. Rozier was true to his word, playing roughly 9 minutes, 34 seconds, and then he took himself out of the game. The bets raked in thousands and thousands of dollars. So they were basically throwing games. That's what that really comes down to. And then you got this controversy that developed out of it by sports commentator Stephen A. Smith. Have you heard the ridiculous things that Stephen A. Smith said? We'll get into that in just a moment. Right now, time for traffic and weather on Super Talk. All right, taking a look at the forecast, looking for a high today of 66. The low overnight was 38. Right now, a chilly 39 degrees in Nashville on Super Talk 99.7. Talking about this gambling investigation, a lot of people are reacting. And again, anything that happens with the Trump administration, the Democrats lose their minds. The left goes crazy. Stephen A. Smith, noted sports commentator. A lot of people like Stephen A. Smith. He should stick to sports, not politics. He didn't know anything about it. He tends to think that this is all some grand conspiracy that has been concocted. I'm not real clear on what he's saying here, but he seems to suggest that Donald Trump is somehow responsible for this attack against what he says was an attack against the NBA and NBA players.
We're sitting on here on the sports show doing First Take. We all know what other stuff that I do. Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to, and to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today.
What does that mean, even?
I'm watching a press conference with the director of the FBI.
Yeah.
Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen people, we've seen accusations before. We've seen athletes get in trouble with the law before. You don't see the director of the FBI having a press conference.
Well, you do when the La Cosa Nostra is involved. He seems to be focusing strictly on the sports side of it and not the other side of it, which is organized crime.
It's not coincidental. It's not an accident. It's a statement. And it's a warning that more is coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're saying here. And everybody better, I'm just telling you, it's as serious as it gets.
Well, hold on a minute. So we're going to have more attempts by the FBI to crack down on criminal activity, and that's a bad thing? Yeah, I mean, they're very clear about it. They say it's not over. The investigation continues, and there are going to be more shoes to drop. Very large Nike tennis shoes to drop.
This ain't the platform for me to get into it the way I'm going to get into it, but I've been saying he's coming. He's coming because in his eyes, folks try to throw him in jail. In his eyes, he's innocent. They try to put me behind.
How does this relate? I just can't put it together.
Bars. I'm getting everybody. He's not playing. And so this, in a lot of people's eyes, talk to people in the NBA, talk to people in the NFL, talk to people in the world of sports. They think this is like the tip of the iceberg. These are the kind of words that are coming out of people's mouths.
I hope that it is.
It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's better brace themselves because he's coming.
He's coming. What does that mean? I mean, is there a better example of Trump derangement syndrome than that blithering idiot? I don't know what he's trying to say here. He's trying to suggest that somehow, because there was an investigation of illegal criminal activity within the NBA and the La Cosa Nostra, that somehow it's Trump trying to come for you? Can you follow it? It doesn't make a lick of sense. And in fact, Kash Patel said essentially that last night on Laura Ingraham's show.
I'm the FBI director. I decide which arrests to conduct and which not to conduct. That may be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard out of anyone in modern history. And I live most of my time in Washington, D.C. It's right up there with Adam Schiff. We arrest people for crimes.
I just love that. This part right here.
That may be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard out of anyone in modern history, and I live most of my time in Washington, D.C.
I got to tell you, I was sitting on the couch. I nearly spit my my glass of wine out. It was like, what in the world is this guy talking about? Yes, I have a glass of wine when I watch TV. All right, here we go. Is there any there? Yeah, I think there is. You know, somebody who knows a bit about gambling, he admits freely that he likes to play certain gambling games when he goes to Las Vegas. He's not immune from going into the gambling tables, but no indication that he's ever done anything illegal. He's never, tried to throw a game. He never betted on NBA play. But Shaquille O'Neal says that every NBA player understands the rules here because they make it so abundantly clear.
And I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical about certain things. I homeboy gamble, Ernie. Bet it. We've been on teams. We played cards. We played spades. We played talk. But with that being said, every year they would give us forums on what and what not to do. One of those things where if somebody asks you if a certain player is playing, you say no. So all these guys knew what was at stake. And I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position. We all know the rules. We all know the letter of the law. And it's just unfortunate. Innocent till proven guilty. But usually when the FBI has something, they have you.
Yeah, when you start talking about wire fraud, they've got wiretaps. They got conversations that have been captured. The FBI has been working on this for a long time, and that's why what Stephen A. Smith is trying to sell, it doesn't make any sense at all. This investigation has been going on since well before Trump was in office. It probably tracks back to the Biden administration. So, there's nothing there that suggests that this is some kind of, I don't know, get even thing that Trump has with the NBA. Again, I have a hard time even understanding what they're talking about here.
And Shaquille O'Neal is a licensed police officer out of the state of Louisiana.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to be arrested by Shaq. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones is accused of taking part in a sports betting scandal in which he allegedly shared non-public information about Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So if you're the you're an assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, you have inside information about the health, the playability of some of these players. And, if LeBron James is in a game, it has a real impact on that game. If he's not in that game, then it has a real impact. But the voting, the betting is all done before the game starts, right? So LeBron James, if you got information that he wasn't going to play or he's suffering from a mild injury, that's all information that might be very helpful as you are making your bets. And that's the kind of stuff that they apparently were selling this information. Jones was named in an unsealed indictment Thursday as part of the federal investigation dubbed Operation Nothing But Bet. The indictment filed in the U.S. District Court of Eastern New York accused 6 suspects of participating in a scheme to defraud the betting companies, the legal betting companies. 2 incidents from the indictment suggest that Jones tipped off his alleged conspirators to injuries involving LeBron James and Davis before the information was made public. By February of 23, Jones had either been a teammate or a coach of an unnamed player at various times while Jones played for the Cleveland Cavaliers and later coached for the Lakers. The relationship allowed him to access information that would be hard to get out. Go get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out, was the message, according to the indictment. 25 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock.
And coming up at 7:30, a former Alabama quarterback is running for lieutenant governor of the Roll Tide state. And Senate Democrats voted against a bill that would have paid military personnel and federal workers reporting to work during the shutdown. Those stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Friday, everybody. It's 7:32, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. National championship winning Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron announced his candidacy for the lieutenant governor's position in the Yellowhammer State. McCarron took to YouTube to explain he was running as a Republican and that his inspiration came from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. McCarron felt like he had to, quote, get off the sidelines, he says, because Alabama's conservative and cultural values are under attack from every direction. AJ is looking to be the latest figure to go from sports to politics, as former Auburn football head coach turned senator Tommy Tuberville already announced his run for governor of the state. And Senate Democrats blocked a Republican-sponsored bill Thursday to pay active duty members of the military and other essential federal employees who have been required to work during the government shutdown. Democrats blocked the Shutdown Fairness Act of 2025, sponsored by Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, in a mostly party-line 54-45 vote. It needed 60 votes to advance. Senators John Ossoff, Rachel Warnock, John Fetterman crossed party lines to vote in favor of the measure. Fetterman, along with Senator Kathy Cortez Masto and Angus King, have also been voting with Republicans to reopen the government. The legislation would pay service members as well as employees who are determined by agency heads to be accepted from the shutdown or who are performing emergency work. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said that the bill would have included more than 300 congressional employees, including Capitol Police, who worked overnight Tuesday and Wednesday morning to keep the Senate floor open, while Senator Jeff Merkley, Democrat from Oregon, spoke for 22 hours and 37 minutes in protest of President Trump. Johnson's bill would have also guaranteed pay for federal workers who were on duty throughout the shutdown, including air traffic controllers, Transportation Security Administration agents, park rangers, federal law enforcement, immigration customs enforcement officers, and Border Patrol agents. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. All right, traffic's starting to pile up now. We've got an accident with the center two lanes blocked out on I-40 westbound at Stewart's Ferry Pike. Stop and go traffic from Old Hickory Boulevard east. And in the Two Rivers area of Davidson County, there's an accident with the right lane blocked on Briley Parkway northbound at the Opry Mills exit. Out in Cheatham County in Pleasant View, there's an accident reported by THP on I-24 westbound near Springfield and Ashland City. And over by BNA, there's a stall with the vehicle blocking the right shoulder on 40 westbound at Donaldson Pike. And we still have those two accidents, one over on Pettis Road, south of Preston Road. It's an injury accident still being worked. And one over in Madison, reported by Metro Nashville at Myatt Drive and Northgate Business Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
"39 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian Wilson in for Dan Mandis, who will return on Monday. Always good to be in. I sort of enjoy getting to fill in now and then. Everybody says, "Well, you're on a lot." Well, I'm on as much as I want to be, and I really do enjoy coming back on because, quite frankly, when things happen, I still have opinions, and I still have things that I want to say, and sadly, it's only the French Bulldog who hears it. Grogu is here now. She's already heard all this, so you'll bear with me. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about how crazy the Democrats are. I mean, they're just bona fide insane. In the last half hour, you heard from Stephen A. Smith, the sports commentator, suggesting that somehow the gambling crackdown was Trump coming for you. They're coming for you. I said I didn't understand how his logic or what he was thinking. And somebody on the Super Talk line put the information and said, well, what he's trying to say is that some of the people in the NBA had gone after him. I don't remember that. I have a hard time remembering anything like that. So is this retribution for something that happened in the past? No, it seems to me it's an investigation being conducted by the FBI. But to hear Stephen A. Smith, the noted sports commentator, talk about it.
It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's better brace themselves because he's coming.
He's coming. I call that TDS. I don't understand the logic. Maybe somebody can make it a better explanation. I don't think Stephen A. Smith is on target there at all. The Democrats are losing their mind. I mean, anything that Trump is for, they're going to be against. So for example, the crackdown on Antifa as a terrorist organization. I couldn't be more excited about that because Antifa has operated in this country. The Democrats turn their back. They don't want to investigate because it's basically the Antifa are Democrat thugs who do the Democrats' dirty work, and they're fine with it. But to hear James Carville tell it, Antifa is a figment of our imagination.
I want to punch the president of Antifa. Give me his address. Where do I find this son of a... Who is the board of directors? Who are this? There is no such thing as Antifa.
Well, he's wrong about that. I mean, he's just absolutely 1,000% wrong about that. Here's a story from the Washington Examiner. According to court documents, 57-year-old Antifa financier Daryl Lamont Jenkins is behind the Torch Network, an accredited Antifa body responsible for the recognition of Antifa chapters across America. Chapters within the National Torch Network include Antifa Sacramento, Rocky Mountain Antifa, Pacific Northwest Anti-Fascist Workers Collective, Atlanta Anti-Fascist, and Portland's Rose City Antifa. There is Antifa in Nashville. It exists. I'm telling you, I know they exist because back in the days when I was a reporter in Washington, I clashed with these people. I went out and got tear gassed with these people. They're real. They're serious. They're ugly, they're mean, they're nasty, and they don't play by any rules of political combat. They just go out there and just tear things up. They're thugs is what they are. And Carville doesn't know what he's talking about, but he talks as if he does.
It's like attacking vapor, right? There is no Antifa. So I'm defending air. It's the same thing, or attacking air. I mean, what? But yeah, I'm serious. We just keep, and they loop into this, and they keep repeating it, and it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Antifa. It's not an organization. There's nothing.
Yeah, but you know, it is real, James. Come down to the next protest. I'll introduce you to some of them. You get a snoot full of pepper spray is what will happen. Not a pleasant experience, I can tell you that for sure. I mean, we used to have to go down to anything that Antifa was going to be at. We had to go into full combat gear. I had a gas mask. I had a flak jacket that were issued to me by Fox News before I would go out in any of those protests. And I've gone face to face with a guy. I've told the story before, but I've gone face to face with these people. They exist. They're real. I got into a fight and ended up, the guy tried to punch my cameraman and I ended up punching him, and things got way out of control, and I got jumped on by about 5 or 6 of these people and nearly driven to the ground. If it hadn't been for a police officer on a horse who came to my rescue, I would have probably been seriously injured. Don't tell me that Antifa is not real, James. You don't know what you're talking about. In a moment, more Trump derangement syndrome as the Democrats have just lost all touch with reality. Right now, 45 minutes past the hour. We're looking for a high today of 66, right now 39 degrees. That's right. Below 40. You need to put on a sweater. It's a little cool this morning. Nip in the air. All right. Let's talk about more crazy Democrats and how they have lost touch with reality. Here is J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, talking about what he thinks Trump is up with. You know, Trump wants to send troops into Illinois to make the streets of Chicago safe again. They're not safe. And Pritzker is against all of that. And he suspects, this is his thinking, he suspects that Trump's attempt to try to make the streets safe is really an attempt to steal the next election. I'm not making this up. Listen.
Look, as you know, he said that he was going to come after immigration. He thinks that what he's doing now is actually helping. It's not. It is literally causing mayhem on the ground, which is something that he wants. So why does he want it? Why does he want to send troops in? I will tell you what my theory is about this, and I believe I'm right, which is because he's talked about this for some time. Let's go back to 2020 when he said that the election was stolen from him. It wasn't. And it was Michael Flynn that told the president, and he repeated it, that maybe they should just seize the ballot boxes with the military Maybe they should go to where the ballot box, and then they should count the votes themselves. Here we are in 2025. He is becoming more unpopular. He is likely to lose the 2026 election.
By the way, that is not really what the statistics show. Trump's approval ratings are up right now.
And he's sending troops into American cities, and particularly in blue states, in blue cities, to put them on the ground, get us used to the idea of having military on the ground. I believe because he then will say, well, I'm going to go protect our polling places in Illinois. And then if he is losing the elections, meaning the Congress, he will frankly just seize the ballot boxes.
So you think he's going to? So you're saying that the president of the United States is going to try to steal an election? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, this is a guy who tried to steal the election back in 2020, and he would do it again. Yeah, I think he's proven that he's willing to do that.
Do you know why Pritzker believes this? Because he knows in his heart that if he were president, he would try to do that. No indication that this is what it's about. I mean, you know, the left, I mean, and Trump, you know, feeds into this. He trolls them on it. He, you know, and makes a bunch of noise about it. But there's no way, I don't think there's any way Trump will try to run for a third term. I just don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, and I may have to eat my hat on that, but I don't think he's serious about that. I think it's just something he knows when he says it. It drives them absolutely guano crazy. So that's what that's all about. I don't believe, but boy, they really believe this. They truly believe it, because it's exactly what they would do if they were in charge. They would try to steal the election. I think we have evidence that they already tried to do that. Let's look at Arctic frost. Take a look at that. That gives you, that tells you everything you need to know about the Democrats and what they were up to. So, we're in the middle of this government shutdown. I don't know when it's going to get resolved. I don't know, but here's what Democrats are saying. This is from thefederalist.com. Democrat whip of the U.S. House of Representatives Catherine Clark said that American families are going to have to suffer through the Democrat-led government shutdown so that the party can retain its leverage. See, it's all about power with them. Shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it's one of the few leverage times we have. All you people out there who are worried about not getting any money from the government, you're just going to have to suffer because, these are difficult times and we need the leverage. This is now the longest full shutdown in American history, according to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. They have voted some 13 times now. President Donald Trump said Tuesday that the Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage. They tried to pass a deal yesterday. I said, okay, look, we'll meet you halfway, Democrats. Let's go ahead and pay essential workers and the military. We all agree that there are certain essential workers, like the people who work in control towers at the airport. We just need to take care of them, and we need to take care of the military, blah, 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 blah. And they had a chance to approve just that, just a limited essential workers and the military, very clean, and have the conversation about the rest of the budget another day. And the Democrats shot it down. They did get John Ossoff, Democrat of Georgia, Raphael Warnock, Democrat of Georgia, and John Fetterman, Democrat of Pennsylvania. They all crossed party lines in favor of the measure. But as you know, in the Senate, when difficult votes are needed, you got to have not 50, not 51. You need 50 if you have control of the White House. Then you can get the vice president to break a tie. Most times you need 51. And you need 60 if it's difficult, because they will filibuster, and 60 overcomes the filibuster with something known as cloture. You learn that you want to sound really smart. Throw out the word cloture and tell folks what that is. Well, it's all about cloture, and they don't have the 60 votes they need for cloture, which basically breaks a filibuster. So there you go. That's the detail on that. And you even have a Biden judge right now threatening to arrest ICE agents who are just doing their job. It's just insane how crazy the Democrats have become. It's 52 minutes past the hour.
Well, coming up at 8 o'clock, we've got an update on the Memphis Safe Task Force and what the shutdown means for Tennesseans on SNAP benefits. Those stories and more on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 58 minutes, call it 59 minutes past the hour, heading into the top of the hour with the news. Sam Rutherford filling in so ably today. Thanks for that. In the next hour, we're going to get to a big story that happened overnight. When I went to bed last night, I didn't know anything about this. When I got up this morning, started going through things, it was the big story on a lot of different websites. Has to do with Trump canceling trade negotiations with Canada. And the reason is that he's not happy with an ad that the Canadians have run. What is this all about? And how will it impact the tariffs? We're going to get into that. I have a feeling by the end of the day this will be a different story, but that's the story as it stands right now. It's all coming up in the next hour right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. Law enforcement officials have made more than 1,000 arrests and found dozens of missing children in Memphis, Tennessee, as part of President Donald Trump's crime crackdown in the notoriously violent city. Fox News Digital learned Wednesday from arresting more than 100 gang members to locating more than 70 missing children. Our brave federal agents and local authorities are doing incredible work to protect the good people of Memphis, Attorney General Pam Bondi said Wednesday in comment to Fox News Digital. Tolerating crime is a choice. Under President Trump, we refuse to accept the victimization of innocent American citizens and will continue making our cities safe again. A White House official told Fox Digital that there have been 1,309 total arrests since September, when the operation officially launched, including 9 arrests for homicide, 52 arrests for sex offenses, 527 warrants served, and 132 for firearm offenses. Memphis has long been one of America's most dangerous cities, frequently ranking in the top spot for violent crime and recording 40.6 homicides per 100,000 people in 2024. With the entire east wing of the White House now demolished, many are concerned of the scale of the planned ballroom now going up in its place. ABC's Mary Bruce has more.
The White House still has not submitted plans for the project to the National Capital Planning Commission, and the National Trust for Historic Preservation says they're deeply concerned the planned 90,000 square foot ballroom will overwhelm the White House itself.
And in local news again, more than 121,000 Middle Tennessee families could lose their SNAP benefits starting next week due to the government shutdown, according to Second Harvest Food Bank. Lawmakers at the state capitol are trying to figure out how to respond to the crisis. The state says that as recently as September, more than 690,000 people across Tennessee were issued money through the SNAP program, equaling more than $145 million in benefits. While a few states are looking for ways to fund replacement benefits, Governor Bill Lee's office confirms Tennessee will not. Spokesperson for the governor, Elizabeth Johnson, said in a statement, quote, "Congress has a responsibility to fund the federal government. And as Governor Lee has said, it's disappointing that Democrats have chosen not to reopen it. While the Lee administration continues working with federal agencies to mitigate the impact of a shutdown on hardworking Tennesseans, SNAP is federally funded, and without those federal dollars, the state cannot provide the benefits. The governor shares the frustration of Tennesseans who will be impacted by this temporary lapse and sincerely hopes Democrats will choose to put American people ahead of politics." Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. We got the Dow up 223 points, the NASDAQ up 225, and the S&P futures up 42 points. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. All right, we have an accident with the right shoulder block on I-40 westbound at Stewart's Ferry Pike, exit 219, reported by TDOT. And then as we make our way closer into town at BNA, there's a stall with the left shoulder block on I-40 westbound at the Donaldson Pike, exit 216. And then around Capitol View, we have an accident reported by Metro Police at 12th Avenue North and Dr. M.L. King Jr. Boulevard. And then out in Cheatham County, accident reported. They're still working by THP on I-24 westbound near Springfield and Ashland City, exit 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and for Dan Mandis. Glad that you are with us on this Friday. It is a chilly Friday. Got down to 38 degrees overnight. And it's going to get up to 66, but the morning may be a little cool. So, grab a sweater, grab a jacket on the way out the door. Take care of your plants, your tender plants. Because I think it's going to get cooler as we go forward. We've reached that point where there's a little, almost a little frost on the pumpkin. Let's talk a little bit about what's a big story that has happened overnight. If you, I went to bed last night. I don't know. I went to bed early because I have to get up so early to fill in for Dan. I guess I was in bed by 8 o'clock. I had looked at the news. I'd followed and looked at my, all my different sources for news and information, and I didn't see anything on this. This morning it was plastered everywhere. It probably will be one of the big stories today, and it has to come with our trading partner to the north. I mean, I will say, if you love hockey, you've been exposed to the national anthem of Canada at some time or another. And it's a great anthem. We're done for that right now. No, they can stop me. There we go. All right. Oh, Canada. What did Canada do? They have irritated Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has terminated all U.S. trade negotiations with Canada. And it has to do with a Reagan TV ad. I'm not making this up. The Canadians have bought time on American television to run ads about the trade barriers and the trade tariffs and the tariff negotiations. And they have quoted, and apparently out of context, Ronald Reagan. Here is the ad as it, remember, this ad, you never see Ronald Reagan, you just hear his voice. You see a lot of beautiful pictures. And what that tells me is somebody who understands how television is done is that they could edit up him to say anything they wanted to say. You're not seeing those edits. You don't know that it's been edited. It's just the narration, which is covered by these beautiful pictures and Ronald Reagan speaking. And here's how the ad goes.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
In a perfect world, tariffs, quite frankly, would lead to an even trade field, a level playing field of all trade, and that's ultimately what the United States wants, right? We use tariffs to get a fairer deal. And in the long-term interest of the United States is to have no tariffs, and that may be ultimately where we end up once the trade deals are negotiated. But it's a way to get people to the table, a different approach than Reagan might have had. But remember, what I'm hearing from the White House and what I'm hearing from the Reagan Institute, the Reagan Library, is that this has been deceptively edited. It's fake news, is what they're saying. From CNBC, U.S. President Donald Trump, President Donald Trump said Thursday night he was terminating all trade negotiations with Canada because the Ontario provincial government aired an ad featuring former President Reagan speaking about tariffs. Trump's announcement accused Canada of trying to influence a pending U.S. Supreme Court case that could doom many of his tariffs, including one on Canada. His statement came after the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute said that the ad, you ready? Listen, the ad misrepresents a presidential radio address Reagan delivered in April of 1987, and that his remarks were edited without permission. I remember those days back in the 80s. Reagan did a Saturday morning radio address just for radio, and they got a little coverage over the weekend generally. The foundation did not say exactly what was misleading, but it encouraged people to listen to an unedited video of his address on the YouTube channel saying it was reviewing its legal options. How about that? The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used advertisements, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan, wrote Trump on Truth Social. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to national security and economy of the United States. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. They're going to find, why would did you not think that he would react in that way, Canada? So there you have it. The Canadians need a good trade deal here. China needs a good trade deal. We've already cut trade deals with a lot of other countries around the world. India's got a trade deal. And the president's getting ready to head overseas for a trade deal. Trump embarks on high-stakes Asia trip with China trade deal on the line. He departs today on the riskiest foreign trip of his second term. Unlike his highly choreographed foreign trips to Europe and Middle East, where leaders were eager to meet the president, his week-long trip through Asia is replete with potential pitfalls, writes Politico. An anticipated meeting between Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in South Korea could diffuse yet another economy-roiling trade war between the two nations, but the outcome or whether the meeting will ever take place is far from certain. I think they're getting close. Everything I've heard from the Secretary of Treasury and others, Secretary of Commerce, etc., all suggesting that these negotiations are going quite well. Trump has a relationship with Xi. I think we'll get that done. In the meantime, what happens to Canada? Stay tuned. Should be a very interesting day in our relationship with the Canadians. 15 minutes now past the hour of 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're looking for a high today of around 66 degrees. It was chilly this morning, but I got blue skies. Actually sort of cloudy skies. And we're looking for a nice day tomorrow. If you have to get out and do anything on the weekend, yard work, whatever you need to do. Get your pumpkins carved or whatever. Saturday, the better day, because Sunday, apparently it's going to rain. They pick up a couple of stories here that I just haven't gotten into yet today. It's an abundance of stories to talk about. Let's talk about this right here. Trump says he's not happy about what the cartels have been doing, and as you know, we've been taking out drug boats. I don't understand how in the world anybody can look at those boats and not understand that these are clearly drug boats. I heard Caroline Leavitt say that they have taken out so much cocaine that you could take the amount of powder cocaine that has been interdicted or destroyed in these attacks on these boats would be something akin to what would fill up a small swimming pool. If it's not coming into this country or any other country, it's a good thing. Don't you think? I think it is. Trump was asked about this at the White House yesterday by reporters.
A moment ago, you said that if Secretary Hegseth went to Congress and briefed them on the operations
No, we will go, I said.
You will go. And
we
it would
will
be
go.
difficult for them to object.
I don't see any loss in going. No reason not to. You know, they'll always complain, oh, we should have gone. So we're going to definitely, I'd like to just tell you, let's go. We'll go.
And Mr.
We're going to
President,
tell them what we're going to do, and I think they're going to probably like it, except for the radical left lunatics.
And Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one way of putting it. Look, I can tell you this is immensely more complex, and that reporter knows this, okay? I'm going to give you a little background. War Powers Act. Never been tested constitutionally. This is a battle. Every time we do something where we smoke a terrorist or we do a limited military action because of some national security threat. And anybody who looks at the drug, is that not a national security threat? Of course it is. But they're like, well, you need to get Congress's approval under the War Powers Act. Well, presidents have long maintained, Democrat and Republican presidents have long maintained that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional, but nobody ever challenges it in a court of law. Nobody really wants to have that debate. So, and until we have that debate, the War Powers Act is something that presidents do. When they report to Congress, what they'll do, there's a term of art that is used. They'll say, we are reporting to Congress, we're talking to Congress, consistent with the mandates of the War Powers Act. Not because we have to, not because we believe it's constitutional, but we're just being nice here. And they always say it's consistent with the War Powers Act, but not because of the War Powers Act. You got the difference there? So he will go to Congress and he will talk about it. The crazy thing is, this is, again, the Trump derangement syndrome stuff that we always talk about. If Trump is for something, automatically the Democrats are against it. Doesn't matter whether, we conduct a crackdown on illegal gambling in this country involving the mafia, and the left is upset about it? Since when? When did that start to happen? Because Trump, it's his administration, they hate it. Trump says, we'll go to Congress and we'll talk to them about it, tell them what we're doing. We're not going to ask for their permission. We don't need a declaration of the War Acts to do this. And in fact, presidents have long maintained that they don't need to go to Congress except in certain circumstances to ask for permission to carry out a limited military action when national security issues are at stake. If you don't understand that, then you just don't understand the law. So no need to, he'll go and talk to them consistent with the requirements of the War Powers Act, but he will not ask for a declaration of war, nor does he need one. No more than Clinton needed one, or Obama needed one. You just don't need one. Trump weighs on the New York election. He says that he would pick a Democrat over a communist. That seems to be the suggestion. Sliwa, he says chances are slim. He's right about that. The polls suggest only 14% of the vote. And Trump has said he would prefer a Democrat over a communist. In other words, he would prefer that people in New York City, vote for Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent, but he's really a Democrat, over Democrat nominee Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani is a communist and a socialist, but the Republican candidate doesn't have a chance, so he says don't vote there, don't vote for Mamdani, vote for Cuomo. If Sliwa dropped out, he's not going to win. Not looking good for Cuomo either. I think, unfortunately, we're going to have a communist, socialist leader of our nation's largest city. I think it probably is going to happen. Why do I say that? Sliwa won't get out. Here are the recent numbers in the race. 43.2% support for Mamdani. Cuomo gets about 28.9. Sliwa in this latest poll is up to 19.4. Now, if you were to take Sliwa out and all of those votes went to Cuomo, then you could win. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. Sliwa, I think, needs to get out of the race, but he won't get out of the race. If you can't win, get out of the way and let at least a Democrat. I mean, can you believe that we're rooting for a Democrat to control the city of New York, New York City? I mean, I'm shocked by that, but that's the way it is. Okay, so there's that. The other quick story, I'll just have time to mention it briefly. Chuck Grassley has released an April of 22 Justice Department memo showing that then Attorney General Merrick Garland, then Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, and then FBI Director Christopher Wray personally approved an FBI investigation into efforts by Trump campaign associates to obstruct Congress certification for the 2020 election. And also, these are the same people responsible for monitoring the email communications of our own Senator Marsha Blackburn and other Republican senators. What Grassley is revealing is important, and this story will develop into a huge story before we're done. 23 minutes now past the hour of 8 o'clock.
Coming up on 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7, one former mayor is in the Attorney General's headlights. And look out for exploding airbags if you drive one of these vehicles. Those stories and more on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Friday, everybody. It's 8:30, and I'm Sam Rutherford with your top stories. Attorney General Pam Bondi put former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot on notice Thursday night over her vow to unmask ICE agents. During an interview on Jesse Waters' Primetime, Bondi reacted to a clip of Lightfoot talking about how she wants to create a real-time portal to track, quote, purported criminal actions of ICE and CBP agents and, quote, unmask them. This is the first time I've seen the Lori Lightfoot video. It was just now on your show, she told host Jesse Waters. She will be getting a letter from us tomorrow to preserve anything she has done as well to make sure she is not violating the law. It appears she is. You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Lightfoot made the comments on Fox 32 Chicago's Chicago Report. She said she and other attorneys are creating a nonprofit called the ICE Accountability Project. Bondi stated that Lightfoot is not the only person being looked into. And exploding airbags in cars have caused deaths in the U.S. Here's ABC's Maggie Ruley with the details.
Federal regulators are now investigating a Chinese company whose airbag parts have exploded, causing deaths during crashes in the U.S. Officials say at least 6 people were killed when the company's airbag inflators ruptured and sprayed shrapnel into passengers. The cases involved airbags installed in 2 cars, the Chevy Malibu and the Hyundai Sonata.
And in local news, the family of a runner who died in last year's St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series marathon has filed a lawsuit. Joey Fetchy collapsed during the race and later died at a hospital. The 26-year-old was a local chef. Fetchy's parents are suing St. Thomas Health, which was staffing the race. The lawsuit states that the closest medical station was a quarter mile from where Fetchy collapsed. It also claims another runner ran to a nearby ambulance to get help, but they say the driver refused to respond. Fetchy's family is seeking an unspecified amount in damages. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We are 30 minutes into the market open right now. The Dow is up 220 points. The NASDAQ is up 232 points, and the S&P is up 46. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Sam Rutherford, WTN News. All right, looks like things have cleared up. Still got your normal volume delays as you're making your way into downtown, but there is an accident out in Antioch at Cane Ridge Road North of Blairfield Drive, reported by Metro. And then at Capitol View, we're still working that wreck over at 12th Avenue North at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, on that note, I mean, that's what we got going on in Washington right now. It's a big ballroom blitz. Everybody upset about the ballroom. Let's bring in Chris Hand, who's here to help us do the crossing.
I love the theme music. Let's go.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? I mean, I had to dig way back. First of all, it's 1974.
Yeah, we had to get the dust off the record. We were going in the crates for that one.
Yeah, that was way back in the back under a stack of old Beatles albums.
Let's go.
So Ballroom Blitz. The name of the group was The Suite, and it's perfect for that story because that's really what it is. I mean, have you ever seen, Chris, a crazier reaction to somebody wanting to give the country a gift?
Isn't it hilarious? You would think that this is the biggest story in the country right now, the way the Democrats are covering it, yet we're still blowing up narco-terrorists in the middle of the ocean. We have a couple of wars that we could be solving, and, this is the issue.
Yeah, that's what they want to talk about. Now, I will say that as somebody who spent a lot of time in Washington, I said this earlier, I remember when I first got to Washington in 1986, April 15th of 1986, my first day on the job in Washington, and they were talking then about replacing the FBI building. and they still haven't replaced the FBI building.
One day, I'm sure they'll get there. But it's wild to me because, again, no taxpayer dollars are being used on this, or I guess we could say we're going to be used on this. There will be taxpayer dollars used in an investigation on the ballroom.
Carried out by Democrats.
That's out the window. Are they going to try to impeach him over this? If they were to regain control of the House and the Senate, do you think that they would try and impeach him over the ballroom?
I don't know, but I think that they will try to. Definitely think they'll try to impeach him. And so what? Yeah. They'll never get it passed, with enough votes in the Senate. So I've always thought that's sort of a big waste of time. If you don't have the votes, don't even open up that can of worms because it's not going to do anywhere. So I think they might, but I just think it's so ridiculous. I mean, Trump he short circuited what would have been a decades long debate. He just tore down the East Wing.
Yeah.
Don't ask anybody for permission because they're not going to give you permission. Just if you have to later ask for forgiveness. What are they going to do? Now that it's torn down, you got to do something about it, right?
100%.
And once you get it put up and it's beautiful and in place, do you think that any other president is going to come in here and tear it down?
Well, there are actually Democrat strategists who are out there saying it has to be a key campaign promise that you will tear down the ballroom in 2028.
It's just not. But in the meantime, we got, you ready? A ballroom blitz. It's the perfect song for this story.
It's awesome. I don't mean to get off on a sidebar. Do you have a good record collection? We have a solid record collection in the house.
Well, I have. Yeah, I got a pretty good record collection. When I first got into radio, way back in the 70s. That's how old I am. You know, they used to have a saying, we're not going to pay you anything, but you'll get all the records you can eat.
Right.
And they would get, you know, when a record company would send an album in hoping that it would be played on the radio, they would send like 7 or 8 copies of it.
Yep.
And part of that was they knew that some disc jockeys would take them home. And then also there used to be this thing called a turntable.
Yep.
Folks, look it up. Actually, they're coming back. They're huge. Vinyl is big right now.
Well, it's actually selling better than the digital copies
currently. In fact, I just ordered a piece of music by Marty Stewart that I couldn't even get on CD or as a download. It was only available on vinyl. Now, maybe that's changed since I bought it, but I had to order the vinyl. And it took like, I don't know, 6 weeks to get it.
There's something fun about that, though. Like, my kids love putting a
Drop a
record
needle?
on.
Yeah,
There's something physical about that. And so we have a big stereo in the dining room. And we have a stack of records that we found in my mother and father-in-law's closet, which felt criminal that they were hiding back there. So we got like Grand Funk Railroad and all the Beatles albums. But like to have the kids actually be able to put the record on, put the needle on, like it turns it into a more physical experience than just Alexa, please play this.
I'm going to share with you something that I've done. I have recently started looking through Facebook Marketplace.
Let's go.
To find old stereo consoles. You know, there was a time and a place where in your living room, sometimes there was a TV involved in later years, but there was a record player, a changer, as we called it, and a radio, AM, FM radio, and maybe an 8-track or later a cassette. And it was all in a big piece of furniture. I actually purchased one of those that needed repair, and I'm in the process of refurbishing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like one of those tabletop ones?
Yeah. It's got you can stack up 45s on it, the whole 9 yards. It's great fun, and I do love the sound. I also bought some on Facebook Marketplace, some old, I mean these are old, Bose speakers that are really, they really give it that sort of old style analog sound. It's just remarkable how good it sounds. And you can play anything on it, but I love to drop the needle. That sound when you drop the needle on the record.
Oh, it's so good.
Is there any better sound than that?
No, there isn't. One of the things that I want, and you'll appreciate this, I want to get one of those floor standing radios. You know, remember the giant ones that used to be in the living room?
The old tube radios.
Yes,
right.
I need one of those in my life.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're not that hard to work on. The problem is most of those come from the 20s and the 30s.
I know.
And so they're really old, and you really have to do a lot of work on them. You find one in good shape, grab it because they're hard to come by.
I know.
But some of these things, it's funny, the ones that don't work, even the consoles that don't work are selling for like $600 and $700 a pop.
Well, because they look so cool in the living room, man.
And they can be refurbished, and they can be reconfigured, and you can play records on them, and you can even hook up a Bluetooth adapter if you want to play your stuff off your phone.
Which is pretty sweet.
So, I'm very much into that. And the record collection, probably more CDs than records.
Okay.
I've bought music. I bought the record, or I got the record when I was in radio. I bought the CD, I bought the cassette, I bought the 8-track. I mean, I've bought the same music at least a half a dozen times, and now I bought the download.
There you go.
So,
yeah,
a lot of money being spent on music in my house.
Yeah, you got to do it, though. You got to do it.
Yeah, it's big fun. Well, when I went to get this console that I'm refurbishing, the woman said, I got a box full of records if you want them. I said, yeah.
Say no more.
And so I'm looking through, there's like Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison, and
that's a good album.
And then about 6 records into this stack of records, I'm not making it up, Meet the Beatles.
Really?
Yeah, one of the hardest records to find, a valuable record. Meet the Beatles, it was the first big Beatles album. If you find one in good shape, and I pull it out, and there's the cover, Meet the Beatles. I said, slowly but surely, I put the stack back together and went to my truck and put it in there. I didn't want her to see that. But then the disappointing part of that was the exciting part of it. The disappointing part of is when I got in there, it was only the album cover.
Oh, no.
The record wasn't in there.
What a bummer.
Somebody already gotten it.
That is a letdown.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Anyway, So, you ready for cooler weather? Because, man, I'm telling you, it was cold this morning.
Sign me up, man. I may be one of the only people in Middle Tennessee that gets excited about the winter. I need at least one good snow day so that way we can hit the sledding hill at MTSU with the kids. We look forward to that every year. I like the colder weather. I like cranking on the fireplace in the morning and cozying up by it. It's the best.
Yeah, it's good football weather. Nate Bargatze, by the way, going to be the college game picker at the big show tomorrow. They're going to be over sports game day is going to be at the Vandy game at First Bank Stadium, and so he's going to be there to make a picks.
Let's go. Let's go. The Vandy game, I mean, that was a massive win last week with LSU, and then after the game, the quarterback Diego saying that hey, he had fallen off track and he's going to get his life back on track, and he's doing that by chasing God and chasing Jesus. I just love those kind of stories, and I think they need to be lifted up a little bit more as the example for the kids. They have no problem running the stories where the quarterback flips off the crowd or the reporters,
right.
But they'll never run the story where he's saying, I messed up and I want to get back on track.
His mentor is right now.
Who's that?
Yeah. Johnny Manziel.
Really?
Johnny Manziel has taken Diego Pavia kind of under his wing to make sure he avoids the mistakes that Manziel made
Manziel made plenty of mistakes.
Plenty of mistakes.
Yeah, and it seems like
they're playing Missouri. Both are 6-1, 2-1 in SEC play, and it's sold out. The only loss for Vandy so far this year came at the hands of Alabama, who also beat Missouri earlier in the season. So they're both 6-1, both having been beaten only by Alabama. If you're going to get beaten, I mean, it's not surprising that it's going to be Alabama.
Yeah, there's worse teams to
but
get
they're
beat
having
by.
they're having a good run. They're having a good season, and this is a big game. So congratulations to the Commodores.
And I'm sure that the NBA is hoping for an exciting weekend of football so everybody stops paying attention to their scandal.
Yeah, boy, isn't that something? What I thought was interesting is Stephen A. Smith trying to somehow say that this is Trump trying to get back at people in the NBA.
Can you believe that?
I cannot even make sense of that statement.
What it tells me is that Stephen A. Smith is absolutely 100% running for president. And he's looking at this. He's a smart guy, and it might work. The investigation started in the Biden administration. Like, give him credit where credit is due.
Exactly, yeah.
Give him credit where credit is due. Listen, if we're gonna highly scrutinize them, let's give them praise for this because they're doing good work. They're breaking out a huge scandal. So it started under the Biden administration. But what Stephen A. is calculating is that the average voter won't pay attention to that. And you see the numbers of black voters fleeing the Democrat Party. And I think that this is a calculated effort to try to win back some of those black male voters. And I don't see it as anything other than that, because if you look at the facts of the case, it's what do we like to call it? Bovine scatology when it comes to this being Trump going after the NBA,
or as I like to say,
it's the splat that gets me every time.
So we should have seen this coming, apparently, and this is from Steve Byrne. We should have seen this coming 2 days ago when Nancy Pelosi sold her shares in FanDuel and DraftKings.
That's good.
That's good. It usually tips you off.
So apparently we have cut off all trade negotiations with Canada.
I know. Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. Buy the dip on poutine, because once this is resolved come Monday, those poutine shares are going to skyrocket.
Yeah, and I was playing Old Canada earlier, because because I'm looking for something to make it interesting. But I did stumble while in my research this morning. The NBA's got all this trouble going on, and they want to look. I don't know. Maybe they want to look more patriotic. Maybe they want to look more American, pro-American. They actually in the game last night in Oklahoma City, they actually broadcast something they hardly ever broadcast, and that was the singing of the national anthem.
No kidding.
No, they did. And the guy who did it, there's an old saying in broadcasting that it's sort of an unspoken and unofficial rule that you don't, if you start the national anthem, you play the whole thing.
Yep.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Y'all will forgive me this time because we don't have time for all of that. But I want to play the tail end of the national anthem, about a minute of it. The guy who sang it is a Navy vet by the name of Gerald Wilson, no relation. And this is his rendition. I mean, talk about a great rendition of the national anthem. You ready? Here we go. I mean, did that guy nail it or
what? A
what?
Beast. Absolute beast.
I mean, he's there in his he's a retired Navy vet, and he's in his Navy uniform, and he's singing it. And I mean to tell you, the crowd went crazy in Oklahoma City.
Tell you what, if you're going to air the national anthem, that's the one to air.
Yeah. I mean, and I wonder if that was a strategic move on their part. It's the season opener, so it's one of the first games of the season. I wonder if they've changed their policy about that.
I think a lot of these companies are making strategic moves. Disney is also going to be celebrating the 250th birthday of America, and they've announced a huge initiative to launch into that on Veterans Day, I believe. And I don't believe that any of these companies love America. I believe that these companies they worship the dollar at the end of the day. And they're seeing the tides turning. Is that a good thing? And should we celebrate it? Sure. But I will never trust any of these major corporations ever again after what we've seen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would like to think that there maybe is a trend in America. I think there is a trend in America, whether corporate America is on board with it or not. I think they've realized that you will lose money if you are not seen as being pro-American.
Go woke, go broke.
Exactly right. And they have felt that, and they know that, and they already had this scandal. So I think they're trying. It was an image thing. I think that's all that it really was. But okay, I'm fine with that. If you want to repair your image by singing the national anthem and putting it on national TV, and it comes across like that, bring it on.
Yeah,
I'll take all of that I can get.
I'm with you, and it's good for the kids to see. But it's funny watching this NBA scandal break because my first instinct was like, oh, I wonder what the sports networks are saying about it, and it's nothing. And then you go over to the sports apps and you're like, okay, well, what are they saying about it? And they'll post the story, but the comments are turned off. And it seems like they're already trying to get as far away from this as they can. Like, yeah, it happened, but we're moving on. We're moving on.
Well, I would take to note what Kash Patel said. We're not done yet.
It seems
there are other, as I said, very large Nike tennis shoes are still to drop on this.
100%.
All right. What do you got coming up on your show?
Well, we're going to talk about the NBA betting scandal. We'll talk about what's going on in Canada. We also have President Trump making massive announcements about the cartels yesterday. We'll get into that. We'll do a little government shutdown stuff. And Monica Page, our White House reporter, will be joining us live from the White House North Lawn at 10:05. So we're looking forward to that as well.
All right. Chris Hand coming up next on Super Talk 99.7, 8:53.
Coming up at 9 o'clock, a current senator and gubernatorial hopeful has plans to sue former DOJ officials, and the FBI busts up an illegal gambling ring with some star talent. Those stories and more on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.